Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, hopefully you guys can hear me out there. Haven't changed any of the settings since last time or anything, so hope nothing's broken in the two weeks I haven't streamed. Here's hoping. How's it going, Phil Furry? Good to see you. Anybody else out there? Sound off in chat. Glad to have you here. Not going to be doing much. I know we had that tier list stream last time, but I figure every other stream or so we'll do something interesting, and the next stream after that will be a little more laid back. We'll take some time. I'll work on stuff and just kind of be open to questions. So if there's any lore questions you guys have, or really about anything, be sure to let me know. But with that said, I'm going to start off and just continue editing projects at this time. It's unfortunately pretty slow going with editing. This is a big project. Lots of audio files to work with for the 80 or so questions that go into this AMA, so I apologize for how long this video has been taken. Now I've been splitting my time among other projects. You may have noticed the 2 soundtrack videos that have gone up here in the last month, I believe it is. Soundtrack uploads for Shadow Complex Remastered and, of course, Vote. And I think going forward, I'm going to try and upload the soundtracks for some other chair titles as their birthday/anniversaries come around. Alrighty, let's see. Due for a PC upgrade. Not sure how well my computer's gonna like having to run all these things at once, but here's hoping it's not too temperamental. Okay. That's 2 questions for that section. Cool. AMA file pulled up again. Okay, cool. I'm heavily referencing this Word document version of the AMA I've put together. I'm going to be including that in a link in the description of the actual video, so that way for anybody who's big into the lore, wants to reference the AMA, you don't have to come back to the video to find an answer. You can go to this PDF, Control F, and find whatever you're looking for. PDF is pretty much done, so if you want early access to it, want to provide feedback or anything, check out the Lore Discord server if you aren't already a part of it. Lore Masters, the highest scoring members of the server on the lore quiz, get that early access to the PDF. Alrighty. That's it for Cuero's questions. Who is next? Okay, looks like we're talking about the moon. Just another subject of another video I need to do. Yeah, we may only get this one picture of heaven, as it's called, in Infinity Blade 3, but I think there's quite a bit of information we can extract from this picture. Got a whole script kind of written up, breaking it down. Really excited to finish that video up and get it out. Let's get all of these arranged. Let's get our ducks in a row. For those who may not be familiar with this AMA, back after the final content update for Infinity Blade 3 was released, Donald Mustard made a trip to the Epic Games forums to, well, host an AMA. And if you ask me, it ended up being one of the most, I guess, important sources of IB lore information. But then when the Epic Games forums shut down and record of things like the AMA were lost, that became a huge problem. We saw a bunch of misinformation, uncited material on things like the IB Wiki, just kind of all over the place, unfortunately. Heck, we've done a decent job of cleaning up the wiki, but unfortunately, I still come across things that are uncited, inaccurate. It's unfortunate. Spent enough time on the community Discord server, and you'll find people who have fallen victim to the misinformation. But luckily for us, we do have this AMA, whatever minimal record of it we have, fortunately. Luckily, I browsed the old Epic Games forums at the time. I was more of a lurker, but browsed them nonetheless. I found two posts on the forums that other members had created, compiling information, answers, and whatnot from the actual AMA. And without much thought, I took those, copy-pasted their contents into a Word file, saved it to the desktop and never really thought about it. And fast forward something like 6 years it must have been. And I'm getting back into the IP community, looking around at some of the files I have from back in the day, and I am, of course, pleasantly surprised to see that I've got this Word document containing information from this long lost and super important AMA. And so since then I've been trying to figure out the best way to get that out to the community. Originally I thought, could do it just in a file, give you guys the Word file I had, but no, let's do a video about it. Maybe I'll just read the questions and answers myself. And then I had the idea of, in the spirit of the original AMA, having community members read the questions. So gathered up who I could from the community who wanted to volunteer. I got some foreign veterans actually, recruited them and had them read some of the questions. And it's kind of where this project has been. Just taking all of those audio files that I now have and turning them into a video. Not to mention the PDF to go along with it. I'm aware that this is going to be a significant amount of work for maybe not a ton of success. Got to figure out how to title this video and what thumbnail to put on it, because September 2014 AMA isn't going to be a very attractive title just by itself. But hey, that's okay. Gotta remember that I don't do this for the fortune and glory, but because it's important. It is important to get community resources, lost pieces of media, and everything I can about these games out to the public, out to the community. Community that is very much still alive. And unfortunately, because the way I see it, if I am not the one to archive and upload these things, I'm not sure who else will. Not to sound too high and mighty, but I consider it something of a mantle of responsibility. I don't know who's gonna look back on Infinity Blade in 5, 10 plus years time, but I want to make sure that they have enough information to appreciate the series for what it is, be able to understand it. Like, that's why video game history is so interesting to me, especially the really obscure stuff. If any of you saw the Infinity Blade Dungeons leaks that we got last year, I think it was, Mr. Talida, who is a video game archivist slash historian on Twitter, uploaded those. But I follow his account, and he does some great work finding long lost pieces of media. Usually it's from Nintendo properties, but it's really cool to see what kind of obscure stuff he posts about. What kind of stuff gets pulled from the void and put online for folks. Okay. Oh, there's my cue. I'm gonna step out for just a second. I will be right back. Oh, sorry about that. Let's get back to it. I realized I totally forgot to put some music on this because it's got to be uncomfortably quiet. Let's try put on some the soundtracks we got uploaded. how loud that's going to be, unfortunately. Let me know if that's too loud, too quieter. I'm glad you're still there, Felfurry. What question is that? Okay. Where was I? Okay. Got that. Cool. Well, this is a great soundtrack I always enjoy listening to. Of course, Josh Aker, same composer as on Infinity Blade, and shares other projects as well. Of course, I also uploaded the Vote soundtrack, or Vote the Game, as it also is called. Smaller game, so it only has 7 minutes worth of score. I'm not entirely sure who composed it. Josh Aker isn't in the credits, kind of oddly enough, and neither is Israel Curtis. The two guys from Somacat who usually do scores for Chair's projects. I'm not entirely sure who composed the soundtrack for Vote. Zach Bellica, who is I forget his exact title, but who works for Epic. I think is more on the audio production side, and has worked on, I think, all of Chair's projects that were done under Epic. He's, of course, in the credits, but I'm not sure if he's responsible for the score. Even though he's more on the audio production side these days, he did compose for games earlier in his career. I'd just as soon reach out to him and ask and try and get a concrete answer, but unfortunately, heck, I reached out to Zach Bellica twice now, with no luck. If you thought that was bad, Epic had the brilliant idea of taking their credits, and for games after Infinity Blade 3, at least the ones that I've been looking at, credits are no longer organized by everybody's title and role in production, but it's just a wall of text. So you don't know who was in the art department, the sound department, production, programming. It's kind of a nightmare to find out any kind of information, any kind of specifics. It's the trouble I've been having with trying to get information about the production and, more importantly, the score for Battle Breakers. Their Chair's 2017 kind of games, I forget. I guess it's a turn-based RPG. Anyways, the credits for Battle Breakers are just a big wall of text, and so, you know, Zach Bellica's in there, Ethan Halverson, who actually did the engineering on the Shadow Complex Remastered score. But I couldn't find anybody who I was absolutely confident did the score. Until recently, that is, where I found some information that was something of a breakthrough. I'm still following that lead right now, and trying to get more information. We'll see what I find out. I hope to kind of release that information with the soundtrack on Battle Breaker's anniversary, which is mid-November, I believe. Also in November is Undertow's birthday anniversary. If you thought Vote had minimal score, because Undertow was an XBLA or Xbox Live Arcade title, the size limitations of the day, which were 50 megabytes, 2007, that's all the space they had to work with to build a game in. So they had to do some crazy engineering to get a 3D game like Undertow into 50 megabytes. As a result, the score for Shadow Complex is super minimal. And the main theme, kind of the main song you'll hear in Undertow and in any videos about it, is the single largest file in the game, from what I understand. I am not focused on what I'm doing. I think I'm messing up myself here. Let's see. Yep, sure enough. That is my mistake. Okay, let's fix that. Cool. Okay, there we go. Cool, nearing the end of this section. I'll tell you guys, as much as I enjoy researching and eventually getting this content out there, editing is not my favorite part of this process. And hiring an editor is unfortunately out of the question. I do like making sure that videos are made the way I like to have them. It's nice to be able to fact check and make sure I hold myself accountable for everything that goes into these videos. Okay. Let's fix the spacing on that. Much better. Okay. That's it for the heaven section. What is next? That's right. Gems. Gems, gems, gems. Single question in this section. Okay. Works for me. Okay. Back to my all-important document I go. Heck, I still have to record audio files for the footnotes that I've created for this. Something to, so I can offer my own commentary on questions, explain them, what they mean, how they fit into the lore. Oh yeah, I can feel the computer straining under the load. That's just the way it has to be. Sorry, laptop. That's what we gotta deal with. Cool. Next one. Oh, next one's a big one. Let's see. Is that gameplay? I'm guessing this is gameplay section. get over here. I don't know if the volume is loud enough for the score. The little sound you heard there, the checkpoint sound, is... It also appears in Infinity Blade 1. I forget what it cues in, though. What's up, Paradriar, the Radical King? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Thursday evening for me, but maybe different depending on where you are in the world. Now, unfortunately, this is the time I get to stream. Really would like to stream earlier in the day, like I did last time. Give an opportunity for folks who are elsewhere on the globe, who are most likely currently asleep, to hop in. But once again, if you're watching, if you're hanging out in chat, hope you're doing well. Feel free to sound off in the chat. Open to questions about anything, really. This may be an Infinity Blade centric channel, but of course I enjoy looking at all things chair. But yeah, questions, happy to answer, happy to help. Heck, we may take a break from this for a second. Let's save that. There we go. Because, hey, we've got other things we can always take a look at. I know part of what I've been doing is, of course, looking at the other games and in my pursuit of getting the scores from those games, trying to find the files. Vote wasn't too hard, luckily, because we have the .ipa file in the Discord. Undertow was definitely much more of a challenge. I think Spyjinx will be the greatest challenge yet. Because unfortunately, for all I have done to try and find a .apk, a .ipa, or any kind of installation file for Spyjinx, I have been unable to. I think that the Spyjinx subreddit here might be my best shot at getting somebody who has the game still installed. I don't know, we'll see. Still need to find out if it's even possible to take somebody who has the game installed on some platform and extract the files. Hi, Civic. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. Did you know I was going to make a channel and call myself the Archivist and do Infinity Blade? I did not know that. Were you back on the Epic Games forums back in the days by chance? I know there is somebody that appears in the AMA from the forums, also called Archivist. I guess I should be glad I grabbed this name. Is there any particular reason you didn't end up uploading anything? Heck, I think you'd be... I'd love to see what kind of content you'd make. I know you mainly specialize in the music side of things, but heck, we could always use more content. Cuddy415, welcome to the stream. Can we download Infinity Blade without computer or jailbreak yet? My understanding, and definitely visit the IB Discord server for more information. My understanding, though, is that PC is required unless you jailbreak. I think that if you do have a jailbroken device, you may be able to sideload without a PC, but I'm really not involved in the installation stuff. We've got the Discord server and its installation help channel for that reason. Okay, Civic, I see you working on an IB video now, though. Okay. I mean, I know you were working on the score for Infinity Blade Studios' Koroth project. Does it have anything to do with that? Either way, looking forward to it for sure. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Send a quick question to the Discord. Heck, as much as I find the IB modding scene interesting, I don't know too much about it. I dabble in extracting content from the files, but I don't do too much serious work on it. Certainly not anything that has to do with editing files or modding. Okay, Civic is stepping outside of the music sphere. Tier list featuring all the notable IB characters. I go from top or bottom to top, from who I hate to who I like. Yeah, it is tier list hour in the community. I know Darth and I last stream did that tier list ranking bosses. Was the tier list we had? I guess based on aesthetics and story and whatnot. Comedic ranking video. Gotcha. You know, we did it as a stream, but I mean, that was a long stream. A lot to sit through. No, I look forward to that. Comedic ranking video sounds right up my alley. I look forward to that. Better see Black Hair Issa at the very top of that list. Now let's find people I could possibly reach out to. Heck, this is quite a bit of the work that I do when it comes to finding information or anything online when it comes to Infinity Blade, just given how long it's been. Reaching out to people on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. Okay. Jinx. posted about it in the subreddit. Let's go. Cannot type today. Trying to the game files. Cool. Sorry about that, Civic. Yeah, I don't mean to steal your thunder and take your channel name and then video idea. I just kind of brainstormed the tier list thing. I just did that on a whim, so I think I had mentioned it in the first stream as an idea of something we could do, and Darth wanted to pitch in. No, sorry about that. If I am feeling especially cosmically attuned to things, I'll have to reach out to you and see if I'm gonna step on your toes again. Cheers. Oh, should we get enough message? We'll copy paste that, send it to some folks. Did that send it? Did I cut that out and not send it? There we go. Okay. Next one. Just gotta find people who most likely had the game installed and still do, hopefully. I mean, Spyging shut down so long ago, so most of these posts are 3 years old. Newest one is 2. Deleted user, darn. Okay. Maybe this guy had it installed. Yeah, it can be tedious, but I do enjoy this internet sleuthing side of my work. See, even this guy was looking for the IPA file. You still got a chance to fix that, Civic. You better put specifically Black Hair Issa S tier. I can totally, it makes sense, you know, split some characters up by variation. IB2 Rith, IB3 Rith, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, they, you know, for it really counts for, they are different characters. Same for Issa. Okay, cool. No, yeah, of course, it's your tier list, so do what you're going to do. Look forward to seeing that, seeing how it turns out. I might have to reach out to the mods, actually. Just message the mods. I tried making a post in this community just generally, and I think with how inactive things have been, I don't think the post got approved, and I don't think it ever showed up. Yeah, I see request to post, because it's a restricted community now. Yeah, we'll message the mods. What's up, IB Recollection? Welcome to the stream. Now, this is not video editing. I'm running too many applications, so things are pretty slow. Especially when I try and run VSDC, because of course I'm still using VSDC. So I figured I would take a break and do some other stuff. In this case, I'm reaching out to people on Reddit, seeing if they still have SpyJinx installed. Even if we can't get the whole IPA file, if I can get the score, that would be a win. Other... looking for game files, go general. To any... Nice. Right, the game files are what I can about. Can you do the can about this? Okay. Yeah, I know. I know, IP recollection. I do have to get off VSDC. Nah, you're good again. I mean, oh yes, I was out of town here recently, which is why I haven't streamed in 2 weeks or so. So, I mean, the video's not going anywhere. You still got time, but I appreciate you remembering. Good question, Civic. I don't know what could my segment involve other than being really uncharacteristically egotistical and buff. I mean, go a little meta. Voice actor for the Archivist is Jim Cummings, who also voices, among many other characters, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Hondo Ohnaka from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Darkwing Duck, just a bunch of classic characters. Oh, are you going to rename your channel? IBR, IB Recollection, Infinity Blade Recollection? I mean, it's probably a good thing that you have Infinity Blade in your title. Lets people know what you're all about. I know I've had at least one comment that was directing me to archive something that was completely unrelated to Infinity Blade. It was Rooster Teeth content, but I was like, okay, well, I've already archived the iBlade series that Rooster Teeth did, so my work there is done. Sorry, I'm not a general media archiver. Alright, Civic's saying that the best track on the OST is The Deathless Kings, in which... it's a classic. No doubt about that. People were talking in the server about how They'll Be Coming For You is overrated, and I was having none of that. Now, Deathless Kings is great. Again, the only track that I think was ever covered by somebody in the community. Definitely still a fan of some of the IB3 tracks, especially Hideout. Nice change of pace, not only for the series and being a location that, as Donna Mustard kind of talks about, I think it's like the only place in the series where you're not in danger. It's a place where you can kind of relax, take a load off, and prepare for yourself between quests. But it's got a nice soundtrack too, and of course the final track for IB3, the climax of the game. I enjoy that piece. Yeah, Smooth and Groove. That's right. He covered the Deathless Kings, did his acapella video about it. I don't know, IBR. picking a good name is difficult. I'm glad I was able to pick up the name of the Archivist, just because, of course, it's a character in the series, but it's also what I do, archiving stuff. If I was just focused on the merchandise stuff, the Collector is a name you could pick up, but again, that's a pretty general name. Yeah, you want something that's specific enough that it's going to direct folks to your channel when they're looking for Infinity Blade content, but not too specific, not too general. So hard line to cross. Yeah, Goofy, that's the hideout track. Who are you? I'm the Collector. I'm him. But now that I've got you guys in chat, can you guys hear the music I have playing in the background? Is it too loud, too quiet? Probably got it turned down too low, to be honest. Crank that up a little bit. Let me know how that audio is. Just out of curiosity, is this Brad? Curious. Okay, let me just bring the audio up a little more. Be about there. And some of these tracks are louder than others, so I can't necessarily pick an audio level that's going to work for all of them. Can I message this guy? Maybe not. Yeah, I've still got, unfortunately, a significant amount of the video to edit. And it's not my favorite part of the process, so it's slow going. It's a lot of just clicking and dragging. Ugh, it is painful. That's why I try and do these streams. Take some time to sit down and really focus on editing, which is of course what I'm doing right now. Well, I can't message them, darn. Try this guy. Okay, yeah, Civic, yeah. DM me that and I can totally let you know. Oh, come on. Send, darn it. So this song, that's playing right now, I might get a kick out of this. This is called 11 Months, performed by Never Stop Failing. This plays during the secret, alternate ending for Shadow Complex, where you can actually like leave the whole game behind and drive away. But this song is written and produced by Chad Mustard and Jeff Wood. Of course, Chad Mustard, one of the Mustard brothers, alongside Donald and Jeremy. These days, Chad runs Mustard Plays, which is it's a Fortnite-oriented channel. He does a lot of creative content, Fortnite creative. Some pretty cool stuff. If you look up the channel, you'll probably find some of his videos where he talks about like growing up with Jeremy and Donald. It's kind of cool. At some point when I have taken the time to reach out to folks, maybe get a podcast interview series going, I hope to reach out to Chad and talk to him about his channel, maybe his music career, doing this song. Zuck, how's it going? Yeah, more Mustard lore. I mean, believe me, there's a lot. I've done a lot of research into Chair's history, and heck, by extension, that's the history of Donald Mustard and his family in large part. Because most of the Chair folks worked with Donald and Jeremy on Advent Rising before Chair was a thing, and then when that flopped, they created Chair. No, I definitely know quite a bit of information about the people that have made the games. Maybe a little bit too much. I worry that was a bad thing. I was out and about here in the valley, and when I ran into Simon Hurley, Chair's producer, I don't think he expected anybody to recognize him, because he had an Infinity Blade shirt on, or maybe a Chair shirt on, so I asked him about it, and I asked him his name. He said Simon. I was like, oh, so you're Simon Hurley, and that may have freaked him out. Yeah. See, we already messaged this guy. Can't remember. Okay, we did. Cool. My concern is that some of these folks may not even be active anymore. Fortunately, got to get used to never hearing back from folks, even when you tweet at them, DM them. I very rarely get responses to my efforts to reach out to people online. What is wrong with Reddit in general, of course, but this chat system. Kind of miss the old direct message system. day, dark of the night. Light of day, dark of the night. La-da-da-da. Yes, Civic, this is the Shadow Complex Remastered soundtrack. I could technically pull the original Shadow Complex's soundtrack out of its game files. I haven't done that quite yet, but Remastered got a physical release. The original was an XBLA title, but Remastered had a limited run from, Limited Run Games, and along with, I think, certain purchases came the original soundtrack. So I've got a sealed copy over on my bookshelf with the rest of the collection. But yeah, this is in the same way that they took the stems and cues from the files in Infinity Blade and then turned those into actual tracks for the albums that they released. They did the same thing for Shadow Complex. And so, of course, right now you're hearing one of two of the tracks that have vocals. Yeah, this is Light of the Day, Dark of the Night by Sean Cannon. Anybody interested in listening, there's the link to the Shadow Complex Remastered soundtrack as I've uploaded it. I don't know how much of a trend it was to put vocal and like pop sounding songs in video games in the mid to late 2000s, but if that was much of a trend, then, here's Shadow Complex doing the exact same thing. Not that I'm going to be uploading more of these chair entertainment game soundtracks. I've created a playlist for them that should be in the playlist tab on my channel. So, of course, got Shadow Complex. Next up is Vote. And then after that, I think I've got, Dexterity's Infinity Blade full OST video. Yeah, did you like that song, Civic? Always been fond of Light of the Day, Dark of the Night. That's the credit song for Shadow Complex. Would recommend you can get that on, just plug the game, get that on Steam, Epic Game Store. But if you want the Superfan DLC that actually comes with the soundtrack, which is how I got it, truth be told, you can only get that on Steam. The Epic Game Store, Epic Games' own platform, does not have the one DLC pack for Shadow Complex. It's a little odd. And heck, now that Epic has become somewhat faceless, like EpicGames.com redirects you to their store now. So any old links that led to their community pages, even as recently as 2020, because announcements about Spyjinx used to be hosted on EpicGames.com. No, they relink or redirect to the store page. So it's hard to get in contact with anybody. I think I had to resort to tweeting at Epic Games Store on Twitter to ask them if the Superfan DLC pack was ever going to come to the Epic Games Store, and never heard back. Of course, now we're listening to the Vote original soundtrack. Artist unknown, but it's a cute little 7-minute score. This guy probably had the games installed. Casting a wide net here, so let's message as many as we can. These tracks for Vote definitely looped. You can kind of tell by how they abruptly cut off. I just kind of had them fade out to make it a little less awkward. This person had it. Let's message them. It's a weird process I have to go through. Send that, close it, start the chat again, and then I can actually send it. Fix your platform, Reddit. Okay, message that guy. Don't think we did for this guy. There we go. Should we message Hack Epic here? I doubt they'd respond. Yep, there we go. Don't hack Epic, you're gonna get suspended. Like I was talking about earlier, the credits for these games, Epic decided it was a good idea to just put everybody in a block. Not specify anybody's role or title. For example, here's the Battle Breakers credits as they appear on Moby Games. Epic Development. All these people. Business and Publishing. All these people. So on and so forth. And great. But we know it was a chair project because 28 people from Infinity Blade worked on this, and when installed on Android and you go look at the internal game files where the data is stored, like the package name for Battle Breakers is literally Chair Entertainment. It's literally in the name. So even though Epic seemingly tried to wash away any trace of Chair, like it's not really in the credits, it's not really in the branding anymore, and it's still there. Most likely still the main developer on Battle Breakers. Okay. And so we continue. I'm sure it's a long shot that any of these people still have game installed. Here's hoping though. Oh, there's the Infinity Blade OST. Start that over. But heck, I still have Battle Breakers installed, even though that went offline the end of last year. Tell you guys, Spyjinx certainly looked like an interesting game. Base building, a spy infiltration game. I would have liked to play it. It's unfortunate what happened. Somebody asking about the APK. I don't know if it ever did make it to Android, if that was even ever planned. I know it was planned for iOS and PC, of course. Okay. Already messaged Fury, I believe. Just make sure. Okay, cool. Here's crossing the fingers for a response. I've been reaching out to some of the folks from Chair recently to try and get some information. I know the IB modding folks are keen on getting information. I don't know if they just don't check their social media though, but haven't had too much luck hearing back from people. What is this post about? Yes, 111. That is the song. Titles are schmucks. Hey, we gotta play that rear. That's the song. No song titles. Only the beat. Only the vibes. Chance, what's going on? Hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Of course, I'm not editing at the moment. We're doing some internet sleuthing, trying to find the game files for Spyjinx, another chair entertainment game. But we're just, we're chilling here, hanging out. If you got any questions about anything, feel free to drop them in chat. It was really interesting back when Spyjinx was gonna be a thing. Yeah, how much it seemingly tied into things from Fortnite. Like this island, I believe, had people thinking that it appeared in Fortnite somewhere, or it in fact did. I forget. Yeah, Darth would know more about this. Okay, looks like may have hit a wall here. Between the time that Spyjinx was announced and then when it actually had its beta, there was like 5 years of time. Yeah, Chance, after Chair finished off the Infinity Blade trilogy, they started working with Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams production company, on a new game, and that was going to be Spyjinx. Like a base building infiltration game. Closest example I can think of is like, what's it called? Another mobile game. King of Thieves, I believe. Where you build your own base, and then other players can infiltrate it. Yeah, no, it was scheduled. Like they had an announcement video, a website going, forums to replace the Epic Games forums. It was going to be the next property from them. Beta in 2016, everybody was kind of excited for it. And then, 2016 came and went. Dom Mustard was promoted to... I forget which position that was, but, out of chair. And so Spyjinx kind of fell by the wayside. And then 5 years later, 2021, I think it was, the actual, I actually got more information about it, and the actual beta launched. But, strictly in Malaysia or some Southeast Asian countries. And I think it was only on iOS. And then, of course, here comes Fortnite, Operation Liberty, and Epic gets itself kicked off the App Store, which kills the Spyjinx beta, and it died. I Possess Glitch, welcome to the chat, welcome to the stream. It thinks I'm doing what I'm doing. Spyjinx is by all means canceled, the website gone, YouTube channel gone, but I'm still here. I still remember Spyjinx. I still have my Spyjinx snapback baseball cap thing. So we're still going to try and get the game files here. Okay, yeah, here we are. Very beginning of the stuff. That's it. Ooh, yikes. Well, we messaged a bunch of people. Here is hoping we hear back and maybe we will have some luck and somebody will still have the game installed. Well, Chance, I'm doing the Spyjinx stuff specifically because I'm hoping to get the game files, extract. I mean, heck, all the assets would be cool to have, but specifically the soundtrack, music. I have uploaded the soundtrack for Shadow Complex Remastered and Vote at this point, so I'm trying to upload more of them. And Spy Jinx is one of those that I'd like to get and upload at some point. But first I've got to find the game files. So, if all goes well, I get the music, yeah, turn that into a video. A lot of this stuff does kind of just start out because I'm curious. I'm always doing research on the side about what kind of interests me. For example, I guess my research has kind of brought me to Moby Games. It's a good place to find information on games, credits especially. And I realized that not all of Chair's titles are here on the platform, so I spent like 5 odd hours adding votes, information, credits, and everything I could kind of find on hand really quickly to Moby Games. Of course, I always check out like Somacat's website. This is a company that Josh Aker runs, do all the music. Of course, got Shadow Complex, IB1, 2, and 3, and apparently I guess they did the score for Lego Brawls, which, you know, it's news to me. I kind of wanted to confirm as much, like see if it was Josh Aker, in fact, who did the score, and so I went on Moby Games here, looked up Lego Brawls, and no credits. I could not find the credits for Lego Brawls anywhere. So it might be up to me to find a cheap copy of the game and put the credits in myself. So Moby Games is very much up my alley as far as archiving video game content goes. It's fun stuff. Alright, Civic, here you go. It's your Deathless Kings. On that note, I'm going to take a look at this tier list you've DM'd me. Speaking of, let's crank that up a little bit. Yeah, this looks great, Civic. I mean, slightly memey, but like, no, it's just pretty spot on if you ask me. Yeah, I see what you've done here. Cool. Yeah, splitting characters as far as how they differ. Works for me. Excited to see it as a video. Rest in peace, Spy Jinx. No, Chance, that's a great idea. Yeah, community ranking of all the IV trucks. I think I mentioned that idea on the first stream. Maybe like bring Civic on, kind of like I had Darth on, and rank the soundtrack. I know Darth. I'm not sure how much music stuff Darth does, but I seem to recall there being some kind of connection there. So I have to bring on a couple people to talk about that. I'm all for community involvement, so. I think that's enough of that break. Ugh. We can go back to a little editing. Get that cat out of there, Civic. You show him. Yeah, it didn't. I'm excited for it for sure. I, for some reason, didn't make the connection, but you know, I've watched the videos on your Civic Unbound channel, I believe it is. Those are great. Yeah, no, I totally get that, Civic. I probably wouldn't want to include anybody else. Not, I'm really thinking about it. Of course, you, yeah, being the OST guy, but then Darth, who helps me run the lore server, but also I'd say knows a fair bit about music, having, I think, transposed a couple of Infinity Blade tracks, turning them into sheet music. I don't know if I watched the Sephiroth video, but which one was it? The Rage Rear videos, I think, are the ones that I have in my liked videos playlist. Yeah, Return of the King, Return of the King 2. It's good. Love those. Yeah, I get that, Civic. Yeah, just delaying like seasonal content. I always have like ideas for April Fool's videos, and I think I was gonna do the AMA April Fool's video last year, and it got pushed off to this year. I like scheduling the Easter egg videos for around Easter time. But it has been... Don't even get me started on the Easter eggs videos, because... Yikes. It's been like 2 years, question mark, since Easter eggs part 1, and I've got a script for part 2, but had some setbacks that kept me from really getting it done. Yeah, Return of the King. So we're gonna have to rewatch those. I don't know if you want me showing those on stream. Those are good videos. Folks in chat, check out Civic's channel. Look for those Return of the King and Return of the King 2 videos. Those are great. They're painfully short on Infinity Blade memes and comedic content, so it's always good. That's why I'd like to do a Maxor style incorrect summary for the whole series. Alright, let's get back to this. Is there another project I could work on? Yeah, I've got a bunch of projects in development hell too, if we're going to be totally honest. Easter eggs is just one. Zuck, you've got an Evangelion Infinity Blade meme? Yeah, let's see it. Get that meme out of here. Or out here, rather. Let's see. Lots of archive projects. Compiling Spyjinx content, compiling IB Saga content, compiling convention content for Shadow Complex, concept art video, Comic Con videos for Infinity Blade, all in varying stages of completion. Got ideas for shorter videos I can probably churn out much more quickly than these bigger ones. Like second entries in a series of IB misconceptions, lore issues. But I'd feel guilty if I didn't get these bigger videos out first. Here's a background I'll probably need to change for some better contrast. Gotta get that spacing right for ease of readability. Grab that. Gong Song. Gong Song, best song. No chance. I can't say that I have, as much as I enjoy playing the games. I'm not big on the grind. Haven't really touched the games in quite a while. So I don't do much on the gameplay side of things. I don't know a ton about the gameplay side of things. You know, folks in the Discord like Ty know way more than I do. I haven't even really bothered to read the entirety of the compendium to learn everything there is to know about the gameplay. So I kind of look at the skill fights and all that as cool and like a very essential part of the community, which I totally appreciate and is worth like archiving. Like I have links to the on the Wayback Machine for the clubs that the old game forums had. So they're an integral part of the community and all that, but can't say that I partake of that side of things. Thought about it. No, if anything, I've got to get like maybe I'll try that, but I've got to get my iPod like hooked up, and maybe I can see about streaming some Infinity Blade at some point. Fortunately, this is an iPod Touch 5th generation, so it's not so up to date that it has screen recording capabilities, which makes things challenging. I can't download newer apps. Makes things difficult, and I'm not super keen on getting a new device. Like maybe I'll have to, buy an old iPad Air or something and sideload on that. Do that because I look at the modding community and all the amazing stuff they're doing, upgrading the graphics and heck, all kinds of cool stuff. I think, hey, that would be fun to make a video on, or at the very least, heck, I could capture my own footage for videos when I normally have to reach out to somebody, ask them to capture gameplay for me. We just listened to this song. This is Geno, right? Different version, perhaps. Weird. Totally could have sworn we just listened to this. I'm losing it. Yeah, modding, especially when it first started. Like I'm thinking back on when it first started, when none of what's going on now was going on, but like when the community member who shall not be named was doing quote-unquote mods that basically just involved going into the game files and deleting things like the startup video with all the logos to speed up startup, and that was a quote-unquote mod, but it wasn't really much of a modding scene at all. Yeah, I hear you. I remember CF2 used to be like the main guy who was really digging into the technical side of the games before kind of, I guess my understanding, getting a little fed up and then kind of leaving the community. And now we've got like Hawks, who seems to be around for good, which is great. No, back in the day, we used to be dealing with a guy called Srangs, I think it was. Yeah, he was. It was bad. It was kind of borderline harassing certain people in the community. Like IBS, especially. Kind of an odd fellow, if we're going to be honest. But yeah, he was doing quote-unquote mods. But yeah, that was not a great time, so we don't really talk about those times anymore. Software seems to be running a little bit better, so that's good. Glad it's not moving at a snail's pace for me. I'm due for a PC upgrade at some point here. Heck, I was gonna build my own PC. Probably revisit that idea at some point. I think this one right here, I forget what this is called. Let's see. Which track is this? The Aegis. I think this is my favorite battle theme. Kind of how it builds up in intensity. It's kind of like whisper right here. It's quiet and subdued. By the end, it's like full on shouting. That's true, Chance. That's true. Stop using such good weapons. Your duels take forever because you suck at the game. My duels take forever because I purposefully suck in order to listen to the whole soundtrack. We are not the same. See, when people talk about why Infinity Blade got taken off the App Store. They don't realize that it was a two-part process. First, being delisted because of lack of support, and then second, because of the lawsuit. People just don't understand why the first part happened. Because games need to be optimized to run on the latest platforms, and that's, that takes money and whatnot. And so even here, when this AMA happened, 2014, is there any chance we'll get a widescreen update for IB1? Nope. They were basically stopping any kind of support for IB1 even at this point. That's not going to fit. Okay. That's true, Chance. Yeah, like basically the only avenue, or at least the only way to get help as far as side loading goes, is going to be the community. Donald Mustard here talking about the Darkfire gems earlier. The AMA says, we were nice and gave you one for Cyrus and one for Issa. And I'm like, do you remember how many Darkfire gems you guys put in the game actually? I have 2 for each of them, but there are 8 total in IP3. But yes, that is the nice thing about older, forgotten kind of games. You're trying to find the game, but you come across the nice community and all the people who love and appreciate that game for what it is. Just on a general level, I really appreciate those communities for what they are. Just final bastions of support for those games. I always think about Star Wars Dark Forces game from the 90s, I think it was, and how that game, at least last I checked, still had something of an active community. Like they were making mods for it. Just, I love those little corners of the internet. And I guess we are technically one of those corners. Even this guy didn't have it right. The 2 known ones, man, there were 8. Then again, some of the 8 were actually, what am I talking about? Some of the 8 were or were put into the game after this AMA. Probably at least 4. Well, folks, truth be told, it's getting late here where I am. I think I'm probably going to call it for this stream. Longer than the last stream, not quite as long as the first one, but hey, this was still fun. Gotta see about finding time to make these earlier in the day for our friends elsewhere in the globe. Yeah, chance, I don't know. I only managed to track down, 8 being the number of Darkfires we have through looking back on Tamil Channel's videos and counting and looking at all his videos. I think I'm going to call it here, just past the 2-hour mark. This has been fun. I think we'll try and coordinate with, like, Civic, Darth, and see about making the next video, like, a soundtrack-oriented. We'll do a tier list. We'll see about that. Not sure if it'll end up being next week. We'll see. Of course, if any of you are not part of the main Bybeat Discord server, join that. Join the lore server if you want to be notified as to when other upcoming live streams happen. If you're subscribed, of course, hit that bell icon, and that should let you know when streams happen. But hey, with that said, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. Hope you have a great one wherever you are on planet Earth. I've been the Archivist. See you mortals next time. Hell take us all.